novel idea. My name is Dia. Today I have a weekly wrap-up. So I finished 5 books this week. 2 of them I've been reading all month, and I finished them this week. So I'll go over those, and then I'll let you know kind of what I still have on deck for the remainder of the month. All right, so the first book that I want to tell you about is The Shuttle. This is by Frances Hodgeson Burnett. Excuse Poppy's very noisy drinking. So this is by Frances Hodgeson Burnett. It is on my bingo board for the book that I have owned for more than 5 years. And this was my first time reading The Shuttle. I had never read it before. It is an adult novel. I believe it was her first foray into an adult novel. I could be wrong about that. But I will say I really enjoyed it. I don't think it'll ever take the place of The Secret Garden or Little Lord Fauntleroy or The Little Princess, any of those, but I still really enjoyed this. So we are following a very naive, very kind of shy and retiring girl who goes by the name of Rose, and she has a younger sister who is considerably younger than her. I want to say that she is maybe like 10 years younger. They are still very close to each other. Her name is Bettina, and the two of them are very much a sister duo. They come from a wealthy American family, and a count from Europe is in America and begins to court Rose. But Betty doesn't like him, and she tries to warn Rose off of him, but Rose doesn't see what Betty sees, and so she ends up marrying the Count, and it becomes very much I just married you for your money. I have no desire to have anything to do with you, but I am going to keep you under my thumb. He doesn't allow her any contact with her family. And Betty, as a result of this, knows that something is really wrong. And she begins to want to try to find her sister. It was a really lovely story. It was well done. I think that it is a little, it's written in almost a naive way, but I don't know how much of that was the character of Rose and how much of that was just Frances Hodgeson Burnett. I had a really good time. She writes her characters really, really well. You believe them. Even if they seem a little over the top sometimes, you still believe that they believe that that is who they are. The next one that I finished was House of Rust, and I am not going to try to say her name. I really butchered it last time. So I'm just going to put the picture up here so you can see her name, the author's name. The book has already gone back to the library. This was for my out of your comfort zone square on my bingo board, and I ended up really enjoying this. It took me a little bit to get into it. It's told in almost a verbal history kind of way. Not that it's talking about the past, but it is kind of almost a sing-songy kind of rhythm to it. and you know that there is a story that is being told in a way that you need to kind of feel and emote with it. And so it took me just a little bit to get into the style of the writing, but once I was there, it was really, really wonderfully done. It is about a girl who lives in a small village with her father. We don't know anything about her mother. Her father is a fisherman, and she comes home one day to find out that he has not come home. And so her grandmother lives in the village as well, and she goes to live with her, but she knows that there's something wrong. She knows her father isn't dead, and her village is getting ready to lay him to rest, and she does not want to do that. And so she goes back to her father's home. She doesn't know exactly why she goes back, but she goes back. And while she is there, she finds this cat who has been coming around her whole life, but has never been like a personal cat. He's always been wild, doesn't want to be pet, doesn't want to be tamed in any kind of a way, but always accepts when she throws him a few fish heads or something. He is all about it. And she comes back, and he is there, and he begins to talk to her and ask her why she has forgotten him, why she has not been there to give him an offering. And come to find out, he is the spirit of a god living in this cat, and they together take off in a ship made of bones and have many adventures. She comes into contact with a lot of different kinds of animals, and the animals in this story are just, they are fantastic. They're so much fun. And even the ones that are not good are still really fun. And I love this girl. This little girl has so much spunk and so much courage, and I just really enjoyed this story. I thought it was a really wonderfully told, wonderfully done story. Then I finished Jorge Luis Borges' Labyrinths. And this was a buddy read that I was doing with Sandy from Miss Reads a Lot and Tiffany from Beautiful Minutia. We were doing it together for the most part, but I think Sandy got to the point where she was like, I just need to finish this. And so she shot ahead and finished it up. Borges is not the easiest of authors to understand. And Tiffany actually ended up having surgery and with, pain medication and all that kind of stuff. Her head was not in a Borges space, which is completely understandable. So I ended up kind of in between the two of them. I think that Tiffany is still working through it, and Sandy has been finished for about a week, and I just finished. And I really, really enjoyed my time in these stories. So Labyrinths is set up in 3 parts. It's set up in ficciones, which is stories, and they're all short stories. And then it comes to the essay section, and then it comes to the parable section. And I honestly think that this book really could have benefited from a different format. I think that if they would have interwoven the essays, stories, and parables, that it would have been so much easier and clearer for the reader. But that's not the way it was done. And so it was still fun to read the stories and then find his thought processes in the essays. So Borges is famous for his kind of thought experiment, his, what do they call that kind of speculation? His speculative fiction of, you know, what if this were this way, and if, you know, so he likes to take time and say, does it really exist? Is time something that we honestly know anything about? He talks a lot about infinity. He talks a lot about mirrors and the fact that maybe there is a reality to something that is only thought, and that what is seen is actually unreality as it is in a mirror. Just different things like that. Those are all of his stories have some form of a labyrinth, of infinity, of playing with time, playing with thought versus sight. And his essays explain kind of why he wrote the stories that he did, what he was thinking about, and what he was reading at the time that these things came to mind. And once they came to mind, then he wanted to write a story about it. And then the parables are kind of just these little bite-sized like fables that have a lesson to them, but are still like a shortened form of some of the stories that he wrote. So I just loved it. I just found it absolutely fascinating. Really enjoyed revisiting Borges. I haven't been in that sphere with him since I was a student. And so it's been many, many years. And I didn't remember a lot of the discussions that we had, but even when I did remember them, I found myself thinking differently now. It was wonderful. I really enjoyed it. Highly recommend. If you enjoy kind of stretching your brain and even your emotions and the way that you view the world, all of that kind of thing. If you enjoy books that push you a little bit to do that, you would enjoy Borges. Then I finished up Beasts of Tarzan. I spent the last week reading this with Dave and Olive from Book Blather, and we had so much fun in this book. You have to completely suspend your disbelief with these books. This one was much more pulpy than the original book was. The middle book is way more pulpy than this one, though. This one still, though, had this wonderful tribe of beasts that end up just kind of being Tarzan's little posse, and it was it was just so much fun. So I'm not going to spoil it for you, but in this book, in this allotment of the series, he has been married to Jane for a little bit, and they have had a child together, and his arch nemesis. So I thought of him as Moriarty from Sherlock. He reminded me of him, and his name is Rokoff, and he kidnaps Tarzan's son. So this whole book is basically Tarzan going after Rokov, trying to get his son back and do away with this nemesis that he has had now for a couple of books. So anyway, it was wonderful. I really enjoyed it. I always have a good time reading with Dave and Olive, so I'm so thankful that it was finally time. We've been wanting to do it for a while. It was fun that we got to finally do it. So the last one that I finished up was Knowledge of the Holy by A.W. Tozer. And I'm not going to go into this one a lot here because we have been having weekly discussions, and all of those are posted either in my community tab or on Tiffany's channel, Beautiful Minutia. So you can find them both places. But we've been having live discussions every week about each chapter, and they have been wonderful. I have enjoyed every minute of being back in this book. It is all about the attributes of God and the way that they interplay with one another for specific reasons. I'm not going to go into it because I really think if you have not read this book and it is something that you are interested in, that you really should go into it completely blind as to what he talks about and how he does that. But I will say that he is one of my all-time favorite Christian nonfiction authors. And I just appreciate this man and his ability to think and to communicate what he is thinking about in a way that allows us to embrace it. So, Knowledge of the Holy by A.W. Tozer. Okay, that's everything that I have finished. So what am I still in the middle of? I still have Spider's War. I am about 75% through it, so I don't have a whole lot more. I will definitely finish that up very soon. The other things that I have on hold at the library have not come in yet, and they still say that there are several weeks. So I think I'm going to just do some mood reading from my shelves and find some things that maybe will fit the prompts that I still don't have things written in for on my bingo board. So, and then if something comes in from the library, then I will have time to read that. So that is everything from me, you guys. I hope that you have had a wonderful week. Thank you so much for joining me here and just allowing me to talk to you about books that I have enjoyed or haven't been enjoying. I would love to hear from you, what you have been enjoying this summer, especially this last week. What have you read this last week that is just really capturing you? All right, everyone. I will see you in another video very soon. Like if you liked it, subscribe if you want to.